What's up everybody, Jolt here from the TokenMinorities, and today I am bringing you week 12 of the NPL in a rematch against the Phoenix Sunkern. Now, just to let you all know, I am finally home for the summer from college, and as a result I now have really crappy internet, so it's going to take me likely a little bit more than a week to prepare each video, just due to the fact that it does take an entire night just to upload a video to YouTube, and the fact that it's kind of difficult to find time to record when I'm at home with family. So keep that in mind. I'll get these videos cranked out as quickly as possible, but you've been warned. So anyway, looking at Cheeseboy's team, the coach of the Phoenix Sunkern, we have played him earlier in the season and we did quite well. We won with a 5-0 victory, but I did hax him a bit in our first matchup, so I'm hoping I don't hax him again, but I'm still hoping for a win this week. Just going over his team one more time, he has Mega Medicham, Suicune, Donphan, Cloyster, Darmanitan, Goodra, Scrafty, Zygarde, Escavalier, Chestnut, and Musharna. So nothing terribly scary. Oh, there's some scary stuff, but nothing that's exceptionally scary in this game, considering this is for the most part just a UU team. Things that I have to keep an eye on though are the Mega Medicham, as I don't really have a pure switch into it because it does have pretty excellent coverage, and it decimates my walled Mega Venusaur, so I'm going to have to do some fun stuff with Wobbuffet against Mega Medicham, or maybe some innovation might be coming into play this game. We'll see. Anyway, other threats are of course the Suicune, but luckily I do have Vaporeon, which is a counter to it, and as a result of the fact that I kind of hard-walled his Suicune last game, he actually might not bring it this week. I'm not really sure, but we'll see what happens. I am going to try to use some different strategies this week, such that I'm prepared for the playoffs, that I have now clinched my spot for, by the way. I never mentioned that in the last video. I have clinched my division, so I have clinched either the number 1, number 2, or number 3 seed in the playoffs, and at this point the remainder of my games will determine what seed I get. Currently, if I win out, then I will be the number 1 seed. If I happen to lose a game, then I'll be a 2 or 3 seed. That's kind of how it's going to work. The rest of his mons aren't terribly threatening. Cloyster can be a threat, but I do have Empoleon, so that's cool. Darmanitan can be a threat, but I have ways to deal with it, namely letting it kill itself with this recoil. And Zygarde could be a threat as well, etc, etc, etc. So with this in mind, let's go ahead and jump into the team building process. Alright, so looking at his team, I noticed that he has kind of a weakness to powerful flying types, namely Hawlucha, as he doesn't have anything that can just switch in freely against it, bar maybe Suicune. But if he has to use Suicune as a wall, I am a-okay with that. I'd rather it be a wall than be a setup threat. So I am going to bring Hawlucha in this game, and I'm going to bring a set that I haven't brought yet this season. I'm going to bring an Adamant Power Herb set. Now these EVs aren't quite set in stone. I am doing this part quite a bit in advance right now, just because I do have some time available to record right now, so my EVs will change slightly, mainly just speed creeping and such, but I'm going to run roughly max attack, max speed in this situation, with Swords Dance, Sky Attack, Acrobatics, and Drain Punch. This is going to be the win con in this game. Hopefully the goal will be to wear down the majority of his mons, such that I can set up a sweep with Hawlucha, and you'll see some of my techniques in doing so here as I go through the team. So next up I'm bringing in Empoleon, because I have to have something to check or hopefully counter the Cloyster. This is going to be a counter, what am I saying? I have to have something for Cloyster, because otherwise Cloyster is an enormous threat to my team, as I do have a lot of flying types on my team. I do have a lot of things that are weak to ice as well. So Empoleon is kind of a must in this matchup, also because of the fact that it is going to be my entry hazard layer and my entry hazard defogger. And then I'll have Ice Beam and Grass Knot for appropriate coverage moves. Next up I'll have Alakazam with a Focus Sash. This is going to be both a safety valve mon and an initiator for a Hawlucha sweep, essentially. I'm going to have Encore on this mon, such that I will be able to Encore maybe the Suicune, maybe Scrafty, maybe even a Zygarde. Doubtful on the Zygarde, but there's a lot of mons on his team that require setup or are more of a utility mon, and I think I can abuse them with Encore Alakazam. I can Encore them into a move that doesn't damage me. I can go straight into Hawlucha. I can get up a Swords Dance, and then Sky Attack will pretty much OHKO anything on his team, except Suicune, which it'll do, I believe, like 70% to, and then I can follow that up with an Acrobatics and take it out. So basically, this is going to be the primary initiator of the Hawlucha sweep, and I hope it ends up working out that way. Next up, I am bringing a fully defensive Gyarados. Now, I've only brought Gyarados once this entire season, but I decided to give it another chance this week, as it actually hard walls both Mega Medicham and Darmanitan. Even if Darmanitan runs a rock move, and even if he won't run Thunder Punch Mega Medicham. If he does that, then kudos to him. But I don't expect him to run Thunder Punch Mega Medicham, and I anticipate that this is going to hard wall his team, and it'll just give him a really hard time, basically. And perhaps the thought here could be that I could switch this in on Medicham, and if he does have Thunder Punch, I can just pivot into Wobbuffet and trap the Mega Medicham, which brings me to the Wobbuffet, of course, which is going to be fully defensive, standard Wobbuffet, cuts that berry such that I can perhaps get a cheat KO on maybe Darmanitan as he goes for perhaps a U-turn revenge kill or something. I don't know. I hope it catches him off guard. That's the idea there. And then finally, I'm going to bring a substitute Fling Baton Pass Acrobatics Gliscor. I'm being very innovative this week, I know. But I'm definitely excited to see how this works. But that's the team, and yeah, this is kind of out of my comfort zone, so I'm kind of hoping this goes well. Let's go ahead and jump into the battle. Okay, so team preview, I noticed that he brought basically the same team as what he brought in our first matchup, which actually led me to believe that due to the fact that he really didn't have much time to prepare this week due to finals, I kind of anticipated that this was going to be the exact same team as what he brought in the original matchup with the same movesets and everything. So that's the assumption I'm going to work under here at team preview, and it turns out that was probably not the best assumption I could have made, but you'll see what happens here soon. I do anticipate that he will lead with his Scrafty, as I don't have any knockoff switch-ins, which is really bad on my part. I should have thought about that more in advance, but I think that my best option to take the knockoff is my Gyarados, considering I am going to be able to intimidate him, and due to the fact that I am fully invested in HP and defense, I think I can take it relatively well and just Dragon Tail him out. So that's what I'm going to go for here. I do notice that I have to keep my Empoleon healthy to deal with Suicune, and quite frankly I need to keep Gyarados healthy because he did bring Scrafty, Darmanitan, and Medicham, all of which are going to pressure my team a lot. Luckily I do have Wobbuffet and Gliscor to aid in that, but regardless I'm going to have to keep some things alive to take some powerful hits. So let's go ahead and jump into this. He leads off with the Scrafty as I expected, and I lead off with my Gyarados. And I get off the double Intimidate here as he intimidates me as well. He just goes for the knockoff and he gets a critical hit, which really sucks because now my Gyarados is down to 31%. I don't have leftovers. My only means of recovery on this Gyarados is through rest at this point, and I'm not going to be outspeeding many things on his team considering I am a fully defensive Gyarados. So Gyarados is almost useless on turn 1 of this game, and that is bad because like I said before, I need switch-ins to Medicham, I need switch-ins to Darmanitan. That's the reason why I brought this Gyarados, and it's not looking too good here as he just goes for the knockoff, and I go for the Dragon Tail and get him out of there because I don't want to deal with that thing right now. I need my Toxic Orb up on Gliscor before I can actually handle Scrafty effectively. Here he is Dragon Tailed into his Medicham, and as I try to trap the Medicham with my Wobbuffet, he just switches into his Suicune, which was a good play on his part, as I guess he saw it as potentially an opportunity to set up on something or maybe just KO something on the switch-in, as this looks to be an offensive Suicune. As I bring in my Wobbuffet now, noticing that this Suicune has Ice Beam and Scald, probably HP Electric as well, because I have no doubt that he anticipated me bringing my Vaporeon. Here he goes for 2 Scalds on my Wobbuffet, each doing about the same amount of damage. And if you look at the damage calc on this, I'm a fully defensive Wobbuffet. The Scald was roughly, the 33% that he was getting was roughly right in the middle of the damage roll variance. If on that second Scald he got something in the upper quadrant of the damage roll variance, this Mirror Cut would have taken out the Suicune. That would have been great. However, he gets exactly in the middle again, and he decides to live with 3%. Get that out of there. And that's not good, because now he's going to go for Scald, and again he's going to get in the middle quadrant or maybe the upper quadrant of the damage roll variance, and it's going to take out my Wobbuffet, and I wasn't able to get a single kill with Wobbuffet this game. I'm sorry guys, I'm a failure to the Wobbuffet Nation, but unfortunately that's just how it goes. And here I go into my Alakazam just to scare out the Suicune, and he goes into his Scrafty, which was a nice play as I was just going for the Psyshock, and he's going to use this as a pivot switch into his Darmanitan, which I just got outplayed there. Kudos to Cheese, that was a good play. And now he has his Darmanitan in there, and I'm obviously scared that this is going to be a Scarf set, so I'm going to go straight into my Gliscor to get up my Toxic Orb and hopefully eat up the U-turn. But unfortunately, he just goes for Substitute, and this is also really bad because this is going to be a Substitute Life Orb Darmanitan, I am assuming, and that's going to do a heck of a lot of damage to my defensive Gliscor, and now I have to sack it, so this is bad. I'm in a 6-3 situation, And yeah, I don't have many options left. However, I do still have a pretty good win condition in my Hawlucha in the back, and if I can play effectively, if I can play it well rather, then I actually have a chance of pulling this game out. I do just go for the Dazzling Gleam here on the switch into Suicune, which is nice. I'm able to get a kill in this game, and here I expect him to predict my switch into Empoleon and maybe pull a double into his Medicham. Unfortunately, he just stays in and just goes for a Hidden Power, which actually isn't a very good play in my opinion on his part because, let me pause this, because the Hidden Power actually would do less damage than a Rock Blast, I believe. So that's just something that I had calced earlier, but he does just go for the Ice Shard on the following turn as I go into my Empoleon, knowing that it is going to be safe and he's going to be taking Life Orb Recoil. But here he pulls a switch into his Donphan, which actually was a really good play. I should have just gone for the Grass Knot, expecting him to do something like this, but I just decided to go for Rocks, knowing that it is very good against this team. So it's not really a bad play on my part because this does guarantee, I believe, kills against both Darm and Cloyster at this point. But this does give him the free switch into Donphan, which I really don't have a switch in for, so this is not too good. But I do get up my rocks. Luckily, I'm able to outspeed the Donphan and just go for the Grass Knot and get off a lot of damage, but he is just going to KO me with an Earthquake, revealing that this is probably a max attack Donphan, and if I'm wrong on that, I'm wrong on that. I really wasn't running calcs in this game. But yeah, I bring in my Alakazam to check the Donphan. He just sacks his Darmanitan, which was again a good play on his part, because now it's going to let him bring in his Mega Medicham, which I have absolutely no switch-ins for at this point. I lost Gyarados, I lost Wobbuffet, I lost Gliscor. Something's going to die to this. But I am able to get off the Dazzling Gleam, which is great here, as he just goes for the Zen Headbutt, and needlessly so, as he could have just gone for the Bullet Punch and taken out my Alakazam earlier, and he would have been in a much better position. But now I'm able to go into my Hawlucha. He goes for the Bullet Punch here, and it does 39%, as I go for the Acrobatics, knowing that there's no real sense in burning my Power Herb here, as I'm going to take him out with an Acrobatics easily. Now, here is where I make a mistake, as I actually could have won the game right here, as his win condition was to switch out Scrafty, and get basically 2 rounds of Intimidate on me, because I can actually take him out with a Sky Attack at this range. Given my investment, I believe that is the case. I can take out the Scrafty with a Sky Attack at 85%. But he's obviously going to switch. He's a good player. So what I should have done here is just gone for the Swords Dance, predicting him to sack his Cloyster in order to get a double Intimidate on my Hawlucha. That would have been the play. That would have been the pro play. But unfortunately, I choke, and I don't do that, as he just sacks off his Cloyster, and he is now going to be able to bring in his Scrafty, and the only chance I have now to win this game is if I can get a critical hit or a flinch with Sky Attack, which does have a pretty good chance of doing so, but sadly I do not get that Hax, and he's able to live the Sky Attack and take me out with a Zen Headbutt. So that is the game, but wow, that was a close game. I had a lot of fun in this matchup. I did bring a team, like I said before, that I'm not terribly comfortable with, I should say, but I still had fun using it, even though it was a 6v5 game all the way through due to the knockoff on Gyarados. But hey, it was a fun game, and I'm looking forward to next week as well, as I'm going to be bringing some more fun teams here these last few weeks, because my spot in the playoffs is guaranteed at this point. So really, losing isn't that bad. It's more that I want to have fun, I want to experiment with my teams, I want to see what I really can use effectively in the playoffs. And really, Cheeseboy is a very good player, so again, there's no shame in losing to him here. So congratulations to Cheeseboy on this Week 12 victory. As for the Toronto Staraptors, we will be facing off against the Portland Timbers in Week 13. Togevoir is the coach, and we gave him a pretty good game last time around, and I expect that he will return the favor this time. And I will bring some fun mons as well, some fun sets as well. I don't know, I might go hard. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in Week 13.